I figured it might be nice if I did demonstrate for you how I would turn this into a desktop and leave a little bit of room someplace for my icons. So let's do this. This, I think, is the least interesting of the images that I've captured, so I'm just going to highlight that and delete it. And that leaves kind of a square here. Is this going to be big enough for some icons? Well, let me just move this up a bit here. And if I test this, this is what my screen will look like now. I think that's fairly nice. Maybe I'll push this up just a little bit more. Test it once again. That looks pretty good. Now the area down here, what am I going to do with this? My suggestion would be to insert a shape like a rectangle. And let's just put this down here. And let's format this by right mouse clicking, Format Shape. And let's say it's not going to have any line. That's a line around it. And as far as the fill, why don't we do this gradient might be kind of nice. Although I could have some preset colors here, something like this. I think what I might just do is make it a gradient fill with not a preset color, but I think I'd like to assign that color myself. So what might I do to do that? Well, let's just see here. Perhaps I do want to do something like this. And the angle at which things are going to change, you see I can sort of change the appearance of that. Well, let's just do something like this to maybe make it diagonal. You know, something perhaps rotating it about like this, 45 degrees might be okay. You can even play with this. You can see what you might want to do for a little bit of a shading effect like that. Well, I just think I'll leave it linear. If I wanted to maybe vary the color of that, I could do something like this. It's going to put a little bit of white up there. Or the position, I could do something like this and maybe make it a little bit different too. But I was just looking for a little bit of variation in the color, such like this. Okay. Now if I do that, I can close this. If I put it up here, you see I'm going to get some kind of funny overlap. But if I do this, adjusting it to the corner, maybe making it a little bit bigger to fit, and then I right mouse click and I say send to back, that means this is going to go behind at the edges those other pictures. And now if this is going to do it for me in terms of the kind of desktop I want to put my icons down here, let me just project this. Once again, Shift Print Screen, and then I'll save this as it is and get out of it. I'm going to go here once again to my photo editor. Anyone will do. Control V and insert it, and then save it. And here I'll put it into pictures again, but I'll call this Desktop 3. And there we go. You know, come to think of it, there's something that I forgot. Let me go back here just a second, just to show you how easy this is. I'm going to go back and open up PowerPoint again. Supposing I was doing this because I wanted to make a little present for somebody. And I might want to include a message here, so I'm going to insert text box, and I'll say, Happy Birthday, Mom. If my mother were to use a computer, however, my mother's rather old and she doesn't use a computer. But let's just make this a little bit fancier, just as a little something that you might do for somebody you care about. And I can even adjust this a bit, moving it around. I could say something like that. And here I'm going to be sending flowers to my mother. Maybe I'll even make this a different color. Let's say maybe a dark blue would fit nice on that. There we are. And if I save it this way, and then project it, print screen, go to the photo editor, drop it in there, save it as a JPEG under a different name again, and I can get out of here now. And now let's go and find that desktop 4, right mouse click, And let me set it as desktop background. Now I have it. Now, if this were sufficient for me, I could just move my icons down here. And maybe you'd want to allow a bigger box for that. I don't have my icons being set to a grid, so I could even pack these in here a little tighter than you might otherwise do. And if I do this and arrange my icons this way, I can probably have a nicer arrangement of this than if it's just a hodgepodge sitting on top of the images. I might even have more than one box like this. Maybe I would put my common office programs here, and I put another box down here for various things like music programs and entertainment. This is just a handy way to create a custom desktop with a message like this, and especially if you're into scrapbooking and presenting these kinds of collages, you might want to do this. It's really a much handier way to get exposure for the pages you create, because as a desktop it'll always be there when somebody's working on their computer. Hope you've enjoyed this little treatment of it, and students in my courses, get ready for some assignments related to this, because I think it's a really neat thing to do that you can do with PowerPoint even without anything else in the way of tools or expense. This is Jim Janossy. Hope you've enjoyed the presentation. Bye-bye.